You're sitting on a pile of cash right that the first thing I tell people to do, especially if you've inherited, take a beat, take a breath, take a beat, breathe, make sure that you understand your goals, your risk, and your timeline. So if somebody is in retirement already, like
Uh-huh.
85, that their goals and their journey and what they need to create is going to be different than somebody who's a millennial that just inherited this money, right?
Exactly.
A millennial might still need to like invest in assets that have an accumulation built to them. Somebody who's 85 is probably just looking for cash flow, right? Like, how can
Yes.
I ride off into not lose my principal and just ride off into the sunset with cash flow?
Hey there, do you want to skip the trial and error in real estate investing? Visit my website, dwanbenttwyford.com. I will show you how to do double your income in no time at all. A broke single mom fired from Denny's becomes America's most sought after real estate investor. How does that happen? Well, that's me, dwanbenttwyford, aka Dwanderful. But it doesn't stop there. I, along with some amazing guests, are going to teach you everything there is to know about investing. Listen, success is not exclusive. I can teach you, you can have it too. I can share with you. So I want you to join me for season 5 of the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. Cheers. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I'm your host, dwanbenttwyford, and I'm America's most sought after real estate investor, and we are super excited that you are here with us today. As you can see, I have an amazing guest, Miss Whitney. We're going to find out what she's all about and what she's got to share with us today. So if you're new here, I took Dwan, my first name, Dwan and Wonderful, and I made a new word. That's how we became Dwanderful. So you can follow my website, dwanderful.com, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the places, and watch videos, watch the podcast, like, subscribe, leave some comments. But opting in at dwanderful.com, I'll send you some free ebooks. So teach you, kind of give you some guidance on your journey to real estate investing. Our motto at Dwanderful is people before profits. So if that is something that resonates with you, then you're at the right place. And we're your girls today. So, Whitney, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Dwan. Thanks so much for asking.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. I love your hair.
Thank you.
I remember
Yeah.
when I had the brown silky hair.
Well, don't let the hair dye fool you. I've got like the mousy gray underneath. So
Yeah, no, me too, me too. All right, so we like to have a toast just to say hi. So everybody's watching, you all know, grab your glass. So cheers, and all of you,
cheers.
cheers. And everybody take a deep breath and just like stretch and get all the stuff out of your mind that's going on and just relax and spend like the next 45 minutes or so with us and see how great we make your day. So, Whitney, so I really just kind of throw people straight into the wolves. I just have you tell us your name, how to get in contact with you, and then like a sentence, what it is that you do. And then I've got these little questions, and we're going to backtrack and see how you became to be Whitney
Awesome.
Elkins-Hutton.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Whitney Elkins-Hutton, you can reach me in one of two places. If you need one-on-one support with your investments, you can reach me at ashwealth.com, ashwealth.com. I teach people about wealth creation, building that financial foundation so you can be an unstoppable investor. If you're somebody who's like, got it, I just need investments to go into like multifamily, self-storage, express car washes, you can reach me at passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com.
I like it. Passive investing. Are you on social medias?
Yeah, you can find me at LinkedIn at Whitney Elkins-Hutton, I believe.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start following you today.
Yay!
Everyone always sends me like all this stuff about the guests, which I'm happy to get. It's like, but I just kind of want to discover who this person is on my own. So I actually do take notes because, and then afterwards, I follow everybody and then I do whatever I can to help you with your business. Okay. So the first thing that you said was about the ashwealth.com. That is helping people that want to get started on the real estate investing career.
Yeah, well, actually, even just building a fortified financial foundation. And so my work there really stemmed out of working with people one-on-one to scale their real estate investments and like single families, small multifamilies, even, initially, like how do I syndicate into larger deals? And what I found out is almost every single person that I was working with, they were good at creating money in their day job, their W-2. They
Yeah.
wanted to grow a portfolio. So they had the desire to do that. They had the skills, no problem doing that, but they were building on top of a very shaky foundation. And so they were just like, one downturn away from like potentially losing their portfolio or, an HVAC system away from like losing an asset. And so I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. We need to go back and learn how to give people education on what it means to build wealth. Like, what's the objective here? Like, how do you create wealth, keep it, grow it, pass it on?
Yeah.
Um, and so, to be honest, I just finished a book called Money for Tomorrow, How to Build and Protect Generational Wealth that, incorporates a lot of the frameworks that I teach at ashwealth.com.
Nice. I love that. Money for tomorrow. All right. So you teach, so then you do syndications.
For me, no, at ashwealth.com, pure education, coaching,
Okay.
mentoring.
Okay.
With passiveinvesting.com, we are a private equity firm that directly owns and operates multifamily self-storage and express car wash assets. And we also have a real estate debt fund that we do help our investors place capital into those assets as a limited partner investor. So it is a syndication, but we're not raising capital for other people's projects. We're raising capital for our own projects. We
For your
own and
own
operate
projects. Well,
everything.
I really like that because, and I love the whole syndication thing. I'm always excited to talk to someone that does syndication because I think, so do people have to be accredited?
With passiveinvesting.com, we work primarily with accredited investors. Yes.
Okay.
At ashwealth.com, no, anybody. I
Okay.
I have so many clients that that are very high-powered investors that I'm going back and helping them fortify their financial foundation. So really anybody can benefit from the work that I do there.
I like fortify the foundation. Yeah, that would be a good name of a podcast.
We should start
Fortify
one
the
after
financial
today.
foundation. I don't know, I might steal that and change the name of my show. That's a good podcast name right there. So I personally am a big fan of syndications. I think that most people, especially people that are newer to the real estate investing world, they think you have to have like so much money and so much experience, and they don't even realize that they could actually be involved in something like that. It's just not in people's wheelhouse. They don't see themselves as like, oh, I could never be a part of a giant multi-unit thing. But I think that's the greatest thing about syndication is people can get involved in bigger things without having to
Yeah.
have all the knowledge or all the money.
No, I mean, I encourage people to understand their goals and their risks and their timeline, right? So they pick the right investment to match their portfolio. I really encourage people to learn how to underwrite the operator, the market, and the deal. But past that, once you do that heavy lifting, once you invest in the deal, your active role in the investment is done. Now you're just monitoring and somebody else is doing the work. So that's why it makes a great partnership, is that the general partner in this case is they're finding the deal. They have the team in place
Mhm.
to run the deal. They're getting all the credit, the lending. They're managing all the day-to-day operations, managing the financials. And what they need is somebody's capital in order to place. Whereas a limited partner, in this case, somebody who wants to invest passively, they probably have a higher and better use in their day job, like a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, tech worker, or not even. Maybe they've built their own business and they need to scale their portfolio, diversify their own investments. Maybe they're another syndicator, right? And they're really great at like mobile home parks, but they need to diversify their portfolio. Now there's a way for you to do that that doesn't
Yeah.
require you to master a new new asset class, right? You just have to master, how do I invest with this particular person? Another thing on somebody's journey, if somebody is just starting off in stocks, bonds, and mutual fund, there's no gold star for going out and buying your own single family rental.
That's
Trust
right.
me, I had 36 of them. I was like, I really wish I had transitioned to like the larger assets and
Yeah.
especially passive assets way sooner.
Oh, no, when I bought my first couple, I think I had 5, and I didn't know really anything about being a landlord, so everybody had and this is back, like, before cell phones. I started working and investing, like, before pagers. I tell people, "Listen, I'm pre-pager, so I'm, like, in the prehistoric days." But everybody had my home number, and they would call me, and this needs to be done, that needs to be done, and then it'd be like, "Miss Dwan, I gotta pay my rent late, I don't wanna get a fee," and I was just like, "Oh my god." So after I had just only like 5, I thought, I'm not cut out to do this. And I sold them. And what I really needed was someone just to teach me how to be a landlord.
Hmm.
So I ended up going to like a landlord class. And I was like, oh, well, okay. First of all, I did everything wrong. It's better to say like you're the property manager or have a property manager. Don't let anyone know you own anything. Don't give anybody like, here's my handyman. Call him if you need stuff. Just all these little things. So I bought more, but I was investing for like I don't know, like maybe 15 years before I started buying commercial. And now it's like, oh man, I wish I would have done that first.
Well, but here's the thing, even though you don't get a gold star, like you don't have to do that before you can go into either buying your own larger multifamily asset or commercial asset or even into a passive asset. For most people, going from day job, trading time for money,
Oh
to
yeah.
being a larger asset or giving their money to somebody else to manage it is like, it's a huge leap. It's a huge barrier. So if that's what you need to do in order to get into real estate or passive real estate, go buy the house.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
make
Yeah, no, I
so
still
much
keep rentals.
more.
My son's got 10. My daughters all have single families and rentals and a couple commercial. I'm like, listen, you can start small. You don't have to start like, I mean, I've been investing 35 years. So no, you don't have to start there. Like start with the single family homes. But I agree. I think the average person has a hard time like growing the wealth. They
Mhm.
learn how to wholesale or they learn how to do storage units or they learn like a specific section of investing or whatever, commercials or single families. And then they're sort of there and they don't know how or who to go to branch out into something else. Don't you think that's true?
I think, yeah, it's absolutely true. And, for me, what I teach some of my coaching clients and a lot of our investors at passiveinvesting.com is how to invest according to the 7 pillars. Because when I think of somebody who's kind of stuck like that, I I want to kind of like help unstick them by helping them understand that yes, you have mastered a particular asset class, but that's one tactic. There are so many different ways to achieve the same result. Let's zoom back out and understand why that tactic works. It probably is working for you, one, because you understand it, you're intimately knowledgeable of it, but fundamentally, the asset is helping you preserve capital, it's
Yep.
creating cash flow for you, equity, tax benefits, you're getting to use leverage in order to do it. You're the expert, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
now how do we find other assets or asset classes and just switch the expert?
Yes. I agree. I tell everyone I do a lot of 2-day weekends and workshops and podcasting, and I spend the majority of my real estate time training other people how to do it because like I was fired from Denny's. I was a broke single mom. My husband took off. I lost my house and my car and like all my stuff and I got into investing just really out of a necessity to like do something but then I kept going. It's like, oh, this is great. This is a wonderful industry. How old are you now?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me answer that question.
Yes,
48, about to turn 49.
girl, I'm 65. So I'm always like the oldest person I interview. But like 30 years ago, there were hardly any women in this industry. It was 100% like dominated by men. So I'd be at a speaking event up on the panel to be like 12 men and there's Dwan, you know. But
Well,
now,
even now, yeah,
even
like
now,
I
still, it's definitely male dominated for sure.
the
So I'm
you go
always,
to a you go to a real estate conference and like the women's bathroom line is the shortest it's ever been in
it's
any
so
event.
short. Yeah, you do. I was just at one last weekend with a couple hundred people, and you're just in and out, and the men are just like lined up around. But I actually met my husband at a real estate investing conference. So I always tell people, like, hey, not only is this investing, this is your dating pool. Like, look around, see if there's any single guys here, because I met my husband. We've been married 22 years. So not always just for investing, but one of the things I stress on repeat is that you're going to learn through mistakes and mentors. And when I started 35 years ago, there was no internet to speak of. And I don't even think Google was invented. When was Google? I don't even know. Was Google invented before the 90s, 1990? I think I'm
I don't
pre-Google.
think so.
And so we didn't have like all like this. We didn't have all this stuff like that. I tell people like, listen, I figured it out, but I did everything by the seat of my pants. And I made many, many mistakes and many really super costly mistakes that if I had had a mentor, I wouldn't have made. So I tell people all the time, you learn by mentors or mistakes. You don't live long enough to do it all by mistakes. And in the long run, mentors are shorter. They're cheaper and they're shorter because they help you get right to the point. Some people are like, oh, I don't have the money to pay someone to teach me. It's like, trust me, you can afford not to. You have
Mhm.
no idea what you don't know.
I would 100% agree.
Right.
Yeah, I'm always
People
telling
just
people.
don't know. Like, oh, I'm going to buy a commercial building. Is this your first thing? Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I bought a program. It's like, do you have someone to like ask questions to? Is someone going to help you like figure out the cap rate? You just going to buy it and see what happens? Like, and I see people do stuff sometimes. I'm just like, oh, Lord, they have no
Mhm.
idea what they're doing. They need someone.
Yeah, it turned decades into days. I mean, really, like, and you're gonna even just, I think, at least from my experience, with the financial edge program at Ash Wealth, when I talk to people and their hesitations is exactly that, like cost, time, like I can learn this on my own, like all the, I'll just read all the books and the blogs and, everything like that. And I'm like, but wait a second. Um, it's not going to keep you mistake free, right? Even if you work with a mentor, you're going to go make your own mistakes. And quite
Yeah.
personally, that's what I want them to do, because you're going to be in a different market, right? Under different conditions. But you're going to learn so much more. I'm going to help you. I'm going to keep you from buying a house that has a party of raccoons on the roof, like that take out the drywall. Like I now know like how to look for that. Like, yeah, like I had to rehab the house twice because of that very
Oh,
reason. So
I started in Florida. So well, I still have a house in Florida, but I lived in Florida for since I was after high school until I guess the building I got married was like 42. So and this is like one of my first maybe 5 rehabs. I bought a house that was full of termites, but I didn't know what they were. I remember going into the house and there was bugs and thought, I'm gonna have to tent this house. There's bugs everywhere. I did not know that those bugs were termites. And let me tell you something, termites are no joke. We had to like sister stud all the trusses. Anyway, the whole thing was like $30,000 over the budget. So this house, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make 25 grand on this house. I think I made $1,200.
but you learned a lot.
It's like, but somebody could have just told me that.
Mhm.
And I would have paid them 30 grand to say, hey, listen, don't buy a house with termite or get it inspected. I was like, oh, we'll put a tent over it, it'll be fine. But the wood was eaten, the cabinets, like everything was just completely and totally decimated by termites. And it's like that would have been worth having a mentor just to tell me that one thing. Because I did learn, but it was like long and it was a lot of work and stuff I didn't know how to do. And I had to hire strangers to help me. And it turned into this debacle. And I was like, Lord have mercy. If I see a bug flying anywhere, I'm getting someone out here. I'm not just going, oh, I can put a tent over it. Doesn't fix everything. So,
Yeah.
it does not fix everything. So I like the fact that you guys teach and help people, but I also like the fact that you give people a place to put their money. So let's just say I'm like, 85, retired, I'm sitting on a bunch of money and I don't want to do anything. I'm just like, Whitney, what can you do for me? How does that work for somebody that's because there's a lot of people, just sitting on money. There's millions of boomers out there just sitting on money.
Yeah, I mean, boomers, and then quite frankly, we have this massive wealth transition that is happening between the boomers and the millennials. So,
Yeah, it is.
we work with plenty of people
Boomer, all
that,
my kids millennials. They're getting all the money. They're getting
yeah,
all my money.
that is happening. It's happening right now, and it's going to be one of the most massive. We're talking trillions of dollars too. It's going to
Yeah.
be one of the most massive wealth transfers that we've ever seen. So yeah, if you're sitting on a pile of cash right that, the first thing I tell people to do, especially if you've inherited, take a beat, take a breath, take a beat, breathe. Make sure that you understand your goals, your risk, and your timeline. So if somebody is in retirement already, like
Uh-huh.
85, that their goals and their journey and what they need to create is going to be different than somebody who's a millennial that just inherited this money, right?
Exactly.
A millennial might still need to like invest in assets that are have an accumulation built to them. Somebody who's 85 is probably just looking for cash flow, right? Like, how can
Yes.
I ride off into not lose my principal and just ride off into the sunset with cash flow?
Yeah.
And so that's where, for us at passiveinvesting.com, we have 5 verticals of investing because we realize there are so many different types of investors out there.
Okay.
And, and even then, even within the same investor, they need to diversify their portfolio. So, somebody who's 85, they might have the bulk of their portfolio, say in like our real estate debt fund, creates monthly cash flow for them. In a first position lien real estate debt product, no leverage, very plain vanilla, very conservative. And then they might allocate a small portion of their portfolio to continue to grow it. Maybe they need to continue to grow it, or maybe they want to pass that on to their heirs. But that goes into an equity product like a multifamily asset. Mechanically, how do they do this? Simply would hop on the phone with them, have that conversation. What's your goal? What's your risk? What's your investment timeline? And then we would present all the products to them, but we would kind of order them to what we think would fit what they told us the best. And then after that, they're going to review that product, that particular investment,
Yeah.
ask their questions, do their due diligence, right? Make sure this is just because you invest passively doesn't mean that you're abdicated of all like reading all the financial literature or anything like that. Do your due
Exactly.
diligence, ask your questions, make sure you fully understand what you're getting into. Because like even investing in a house, investing in a passive asset, it's illiquid, right? You're not going to be able to sell it on a secondary market or sell your shares like the next day should you decide you want out of it, right? Like this
That's true.
and then once you'll write your check, you'll be invested in the deal, and then you will receive monthly or quarterly communication depending on the asset, quarterly financials, and the end of the year K1. And you're just keeping tabs of what the asset is doing. If we have any questions of you, we're constantly reaching out to our investors to, update their tax status, all that type of documentation every year. If the asset goes to sell, we'll ask them if they, how they want to participate moving forward. Do they want to do a 1031 exchange with us, or do they want to
Hmm.
sell their shares outright? So it's really hands off. For a passive investor, all the work is up front. It's much like buying your own single family house, your own multifamily property.
Mhm.
You're going to do a lot of work making sure that this is the right investment. But now somebody else is taking care of the day-to-day operations for you.
Are you enjoying this episode? Make sure you don't miss a single solitary episode. Click subscribe, like, follow, all the things so you'll get notifications whenever time a new show comes out. And let your friends know about it too. It's amazing. All right, so if you want to learn more about real estate investing, just reach out to dwanbenttwyford.com. I'll send you some free stuff. Back to the show. Yeah, I love that. I remember, so my dad is 86, and my stepmom, unfortunately, she passed away 2 years ago. She was 84. But I remember back in like, it would have been like the 8, 9, 10, like the housing crash. They both retired basically at 60. And they called me up. I don't know, maybe they were late 60s or 70-ish. And, they retired from like factories and places where all your money's like in the stocks. And they're like, we went through everything and we're going to run out of money in like 2 years. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to run out of money? They go, well, the market's gone and we've lost this much and this much, all the things. And I was like, okay. So at that point, I was like, you know what? Why don't you guys, because they're pretty active. So why don't you guys get a couple rentals over in town and something you can putter around on and take care of stuff like that. But I think, and they were happy to do that because they both, were retired. And I think sometimes, unless you're traveling or busy every minute, you might find yourself a little bit bored and like looking for some things to do. So they bought, I don't know, I think they bought 7 or 8 rentals. Oh, because they paid cash for everything. They had plenty of money. And then a couple years later, they're like, "Oh yes, we're so wise with our money. We bought all these rentals, and now we have this huge amount of money coming in." I was like, excuse me, like 2 years ago, you guys were running out of money." But at that stage, they were still able to take care of things and fix things, and they enjoyed doing that. But now they're, my dad's 86 now. He's like, he's willing to invest in stuff. He doesn't want to have to touch anything. So, like what you had, there's so many, and all his buddies. My aunt's 97, like all of them. They're all like, "Oh yeah, we like to make more money, but we don't want to do anything anymore." So, if someone
Mhm.
came to you like that, what's their minimum investment?
It depends on the asset that they would be going into, but 75,000 would probably be the start for like a multifamily investment. If it's a portfolio of assets like our self-storage or our express car washes, generally our minimums are $100,000. Okay, I know this is being published, but this is for my general listener. If you're sitting there kind of like choking a little bit on your drink of choice, going, "Ooh, that's a lot of money."
I
One,
was
those
thinking that was not much.
right? Well, but I mean, like, or if you're just, you got a new operator and you want to like maybe write a smaller check, always just ask the operator if they would take a little bit, maybe like 50K or something like that. Different operators have different minimums, but, for us, it's 75 to 100K because we work with that accredited investor, and that accredited
Yep.
investor generally has more cash sitting on the sideline than somebody who is just starting out on their wealth building journey.
Oh, when you said that, I was like, "Wow, 7K, that's really great."
Right? Yeah, I just like saying that because
I
you never
think if
know
you don't
who's
know, you're like, "Oh
listening.
my god, that's a lot of money," but not really. Not if it's in a, in a big fund like that.
Yeah. Well, and you're buying shares into a business that owns the real estate. So,
Right.
75K check is probably a minimum investment for an $80 million project. So, if you're ever driving around your town and you're kind of wondering like who owns these like, 100, 200, 300 unit apartment complexes, it's groups like us.
It's groups, exactly. I tell people all the time, I'm like, they see like a building or anything for sale. It's like, but you probably know a person like me, or they could meet a person like you and find out like who's involved in that. And it's really surprisingly easy to get into things if people just, yeah, groups like that. Like instead of thinking like, oh, it must be some giant corporation I could never get in contact with. It's like, well, here's Whitney right here, and I think access is easier than people think. They assume to do things like that, you need like some giant um, person or a connection, and
Mhm.
not that there's companies like literally sitting there looking for people to put money into things.
Well, this is a relatively new industry. Like, in 2012, there was a fundamental shift that allowed these type of investments to be open to more retail-like
Yeah.
investors. Otherwise, before then, as somebody sitting here going like 20, 30 years ago, I never heard of this. Probably because you had to be like in connection with like a family office,
Yeah.
some sort of private investment group, or a hedge fund in order to be connected to that
Yeah.
type of asset. But that's changed. Really, it's given the average person the ability to diversify away from Wall Street to Main Street. So when you invest in a project, multifamily self-storage, express car washes, even a real estate debt fund, you're impacting local communities.
You
And so
are.
your money's not going off to some big like hedge fund group, BlackRock or whatever. Like you actually can drive by and see the change that is happening on these local communities and what you are doing to affect that neighborhood. And it's
Yeah,
really positive.
it is. I think that's exactly right. People think it's like you have to know a hedge fund or something. And I don't think enough people realize now that like a regular person can get into big projects.
Yeah. And here's the thing is on a large whole, most operators cannot advertise
Well,
because
that's true. I do know that. I forgot to say that. Thank you for bringing that up. So everybody listening, they can't advertise, but I can tell you, you should go check her out because it would be an amazing thing. That's why I forgot you can't advertise. That's why I think enough people don't know about it.
yeah. So now we have regulation 506C. And so that's why we work with accredited investors, because under regulation 506C, I know this is sounds like the tax code. It's the Securities and Exchange Commission regulations. We can advertise our projects. So you can find groups, larger groups like us, if you know what to Google for, if you know what to look for, right? You can find us at real estate conferences like Best Ever Conference and other large conferences. We show up there. But like some of the smaller groups, it's going to be a little difficult. Like you're going to have to get connected into
Yeah,
a local RIA or a local investment group. You're going to have to network with other investors. And quite frankly, networking with other investors is such an amazing way
it
to find
is.
these type of investments.
It is. We own a RIA in Denver called Colorado RIA. And that's why when you said Boulder, I was like, wait, hold on. But I know the people, the girl that runs the um, Colorado Springs, her name's Dwan. I
What?
was like, Dwan, like DWAN? She's like, yeah. And I was like, it's not possible. Two Dwans in Colorado that both own RIAs. I've never even met a Dwan. And so when you said that, I was thinking, oh, wait, no, but you're in Boulder. Is there a RIA in Boulder?
I believe, yes. I'm not a part of it, but yeah, I believe there is.
I tell people all the time, go to conferences, go to RIAs, get online, watch podcasts, like everything you need is available. You just have to go and find it. So now what's the biggest goal? What is the big goal that you're working on right now? And how can the people at Dwanderful help you reach that goal, Whitney?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I think for us is that we're looking to, double and triple our debt fund. And so that's professionally, so we're looking to really expand our reach, with the Fed raising interest rates the way they've done, and kind of bank money somewhat, evaporating. This has left a lot of borrowers in a lurch. And so, with our debt fund, we fund a fix and flip fund to keep these
Oh,
borrowers revitalizing communities like in South Carolina and North Carolina. And we want to expand that reach into other states. Like we have a foothold into Atlanta and Tennessee. We're actually licensed in majority of the United States. We just haven't expanded that foothold yet, expanded our team. So that is a huge undertaking for us to increase our reach there. Um,
all right, so
Personally,
everyone, the
yeah,
Dwanderful people right there, they want to
yeah.
double the debt fund, which means they want money from you to invest for you to make money, and they have a fix and flip fund. So it's like, what more can anybody want?
Return, return on that
Well,
investment.
they do. Now, we're gonna jump topics for a minute. So tell me, what is your favorite band of all time?
Dave Matthews Band, hands down.
Dave Matthews. I love Dave Matthews. I forgot about them. I always like to ask people questions about like music and stuff because I feel like you can kind of get a vibe for what a person is or what they like to listen to.
You wouldn't know that because if you came into our house, like everything looks like the Grateful Dead. My daughter's named after a Grateful Dead song. So you wouldn't know that about me if you came in our house, but that's
I love
mostly
the
my
Grateful
husband's
Dead.
music.
That's one band I regret that I did not see it in person.
I know. So
Never
in
did. And I've
Boulder,
seen like a million
yeah.
concerts. And I was like, oh, I totally would have loved to have gone to a Grateful Dead.
Yeah, Dead and Co. So the kind of second evolution of the Grateful Dead. They up until last year they played at the Folsom Field Stadium, which is a mile from our house. So we went to and they did that run for like 6, 7 years, and we went to every.
Oh, I love it. I know. And I
Yeah.
love Dave Matthews Band. That's awesome. I haven't thought about them for a while. So I'm always curious. What do you like to eat? What's your favorite thing to eat?
My favorite thing to eat that I don't eat is cheese. So I love cheese, but I have some athletic goals, and so I have cheese after I run my races. So
There you go.
Mother's Day is going to be fun. I'm
Oh,
gonna have
that's
some
right.
cheese
That's
with
right.
them.
Mother, let's have cheese for the day. What's your favorite part of the day?
Ooh, anytime the sun's up.
Mm, I'm with you
Yeah.
on that.
I love getting up and kind of tackling the day. By the end of the day, I'm ready to, by 6, 7 o'clock, I want to be on the couch and just relaxing,
Mhm.
um, doing whatever I need to do to kind of fill my cup. But I love both aspects of it, right?
Mhm. I know people always complain about when it's is the winter the standard time or the savings or whatever it is when it's in the fall. But we live in Bailey up in the mountains, so it gets dark at 5 o'clock, and people are like, it's dark at 5 o'clock. Like, but at our house, we're at 9,000 feet and we're in the dead of the mountains. And every night in that time of year, we light a fire every night at 5. We like have some wine, we watch TV. It's like, oh, this is the best time. And I hear people all around the country, they're complaining, it's dark on my way home from work. Like, yeah, but if you live where we are, it's so beautiful that time of day.
Yeah. We actually, we will actually, for the month of December, usually take off and go to Sedona. So we have longer days and just
Yes.
kind of, so, but to get more sunshine for that very reason. Yeah. Cause we live in Boulder, we get the cast of the shadow of the mountains. So it can get dark
Oh, you do? Yeah.
at
No,
like
you,
4:30.
oh, yeah, no. I'm a sun personally, I'm a sun lover. It's like if I can be at the beach and the sun's up all day, I'll just stay outside for 15 hours. I don't need to go in. But I do like the winters when I'm in Colorado. If I'm anyplace else, I'm like, oh, why is it dark so early? But in the mountains, it's nice to light a fire. It's like, oh, this is so cozy. Because in the summer, I feel like it's daylight till 9. I can't go and just like light a fire. It's still daylight outside.
Right. I mean,
Like
certain times
somewhere
of
in my
year.
mind, I
Yeah.
associate doing that after dark. So it's funny. Okay, so people to reach you, tell them one more time 'cause I want everything in the show notes. How do people reach you again?
Yeah. If you're looking for one-on-one help to scale your financial position and become that unstoppable investor, you can reach me at ashwealth.com, ashwealth.com. I have a free quiz on there to help you understand what might be playing into a roadblock for you to achieve your goals. And then if you're looking to place those passive investments, if you're ready to invest or want to learn more about that, check me out at passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com.
I love it. Very easy, easy to find. So, I have a couple more questions. So, first,
Yeah.
everyone, I just want to thank you all for being on, joining, and listening to the podcast today. I am a really big fan of syndications and things where you can place your money with people that already have learned how to do it. And as you know, I spent a lot of time teaching all of you because, I mean, if there was a bonehead mistake ever to be made, I feel 100% certain I made all of them. And so it's so much better to work with someone like you said. I like the decade into days. Oh, that is so true. I tell people, I'm like, listen, I had 3 decades of knowledge, and if you just work with me, I can like cut you right to where I'm at. Like you don't need to go through all of the ups and downs and things of investing. So again, I want you to reach out to Dwanderful, DWANDERFUL, dwanderful.com. And I've got some free ebooks for you. And again, if you like the show or you're watching this on YouTube, click the subscribe button, give me 5 stars, share this. Like you don't need to keep it like secret agent. Share this, share it with other people, let other people know that I have a great podcast and I have amazing guests. And I just I love everything about you. Like you're from Colorado. I can just see you like being like that kind of hippie girl in the mountains and running and hiking and just like really loving where you're at in life.
You nailed it.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. I love that. I like people that are like, as they go along, they're like true to themselves too.
Mhm. Did the plaid give me away? Is that what gave me away?
Well, a little bit, but no, just when you especially when you said Grateful Dead, I was like, I totally get this girl 100%. I like doing kind of music people listen to because you can tell a lot. It's like, oh, I see. Yeah, but actually, I now that you said that, I was like, oh, that is plaid. It looks good on your with your skin and everything. Okay,
Okay.
so now the biggest challenge of the day is I want you to give us a parting word of wisdom, but it can actually only be one word.
Resourcefulness.
Oh, that was fast.
I think it's the one thing that,
Resourceful.
keeps
Yeah.
resourcefulness. Yeah.
Okay.
If
Hang on, hang on,
people,
hang on. So hang on. So the
I'll stop.
people that listen to Wonderful, you know that we have a word of the week. So our word of the week is resourcefulness. So now I want you to tell me what that means to you. So when people are thinking about the word, that's our word. We're going to put it on a sticker and put it on a mirror. Resourcefulness. What does that mean to Whitney?
Well, when people are stuck in an obstacle or wondering, I can't, you know, if you switch that to how can I, now your brain is starting to tap into all those things, that innate knowledge you have. So it's never about I can't because I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time. It's about resourcefulness. How can you find it? So that's the mindset shift, because you don't have to have everything in order to achieve your goals. Do you need somebody that has the money? Do you need who on your team that has the time to do X, Y, and Z? Do you need somebody on your team that has the skill? Do you need to get a mentor, like we've been talking about so much
Yeah.
here, that help you collapse decades into days, right? So resourcefulness.
I see now that's what I would think that is like figuring out how to make it happen when you don't know. That's what I would think that word resourcefulness would mean to me. And that is really it. Everyone, I mean, you go to conferences and stuff, everyone's like, "Oh, I have to get an LLC and I have to borrow money and I'm trying to get my credit straightened out. And I don't know what to do and I'm reading books and watching videos and I'm going to jump into something." It's like, "Oh, I hear people talk like that. I'm just like, oh, you just don't know. Like, just for the love of God, follow somebody that's already doing whatever it is you want and figure it out and just let somebody else help you that's already been there." And especially when for people that have aunts and uncles and parents and things like that that are, in like the boomer age, they have so much money. Like you could just talk to half the people in your family and like, "Hey, let's all invest over here with Whitney and let's get into the ash wealth and let's do this and that." And people, there's just buckets of money sitting around that people don't realize how much.
Very true. Very, very true.
Just like buckets of it. And I'm all for the syndication. I feel like it's a really good way for people. They either want to be involved or don't want to be involved. There's a place to put your money where it's safe, because like you can't trust the stock market, and crypto's like, it's all over the map. It's like here and there and everywhere. And all the people that the most millionaires are made every year through real estate investing. So still today, since the beginning of our country, there's always more millionaires through real estate than any asset group all put together. So it's like, I don't know why people it's just like stay in the lane, get involved in investing, just find out what you like and do that.
No, absolutely. And it doesn't require a degree, right? So that's an amazing thing too. It's attainable for anybody, literally anybody, if you're resourceful enough.
Yeah, I love resourcefulness. That's a super great word. I like what it means. I like what it means to you. All right, everyone. So Whitney, first of all, I just want to thank you for spending time with me today. And I realize that time is all of us. It's our most valuable asset. And when you do something for an hour, like you can't get that time back. So I appreciate you spending the time with us today. And everyone that's listening, I appreciate you all spending the time with us as well. And again, like and subscribe and follow. Find Whitney, find her on LinkedIn. Go to ashwealth.com, passive investing with Whitney, right? Passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com.
Yes.
And find out, you may have money or skills or more access to things than you think that you do. And you're sitting on money that could be making you money. And that never gets anybody ahead ever. So you got to turn that money into something else. And I love decades into days. They can learn from you and cut decades off of their learning curve.
Yeah. Bring it on. Let's do it.
All right. So listen, if I ever hear of any Grateful Dead groups going about, or you do, you have to text me. I will come over to Boulder and go to like something. I saw Fish one time. I was like, oh, I have died and gone to heaven here. I never ever got to see Grateful Dead. I was like, that's a one band I regret never having gone to see. So when they have something like that happening around Boulder, you're gonna have to text me.
All right, you're on.
I'll come and be like your hippie friend up in the mountains.
Your hair is already blending in. There
Yeah,
you
I know.
go.
I'm already like I've got that part going on, so I could be like a mermaid. All right, honey. Well, listen, I thank you. I appreciate your time. Everyone, we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And remember that the truth is in the red letters. Ciao. Goodbye, everybody. You just had a taste of the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. So just one more thing before you go. If you laughed, if you learned something, please leave a 5-star review. Don't be a gatekeeper. Share it with everyone that you know. And I'll see you back here next week for the most wonderful real estate podcast ever.